Alrighty, folks. I am here with the 5610 Massey and the John Deere 6110M. I would step out of the shed here and give you a little better overall look, but it's raining out and I'm trying not to step out in the rain. But several of you had asked for the side-by-side video, and this is about as good as it's going to get right now because like I said, it's going to be raining all week, and I currently have sold the Massey, so that will be headed to a new home, and I did not trade it. So anyway, I was just going to do a real quick walk around. I ain't got a lot of time, so I'm not going to go over too many details, but some of you'd asked for side-by-side comparisons of two tractors to kind of compare size and different things. They're very, very similar. There are things I like about each. There are things I dislike about each. They both kind of equally weigh out, and you know, it's what it is. But I'm going to try. They are in the shed, so hopefully it won't be too dark a video, but I'll make a brief go around and let you see what you see, and that'll be what it is. So 5610, 6110M. Walk around over here in case someone's seeing this video for the first time. There's your model number on the Massey. Here's your model number on the 6110M. 620R loader here. 946 self-leveling loader over here. Now the Massey does have the loader suspension, the John Deere does not on this model. Big thing you see here is a tire difference size. The Massey has 28/38s, the Deere has 24/34s, but the Deere tires are wider, the Massey tires are taller and a little bit narrower. You can kind of compare them a little bit there, maybe. Both global hookups. I do have the hay fork on the Deere and whatnot. The Deere cab is slightly taller than the Massey right now. Again, that's all part of the fact that this cab has been jacked up compared to previous models. I know some of you wanted to argue that fact, but it is. The cab has been raised up higher on these Deeres, and I'm not going to argue that point any further. The cabs on these particular, like going back to the 63 30s and the even the previous 60 105, 115, 60 125s, the cab was a little lower. But the Deere, this one is equipped with two hydraulic ports. The Massey obviously has three. That's just option. But things to compare other than what's optional. Hydraulic cylinders for the 3-point hitch, very similar in size. The Massey may be a little bit bigger in diameter, not by much, very little. But this part up here looks a little weaker than the Deere. This is a little bit beefier looking. The actual draft links themselves, they're very similar, same size. This part here, where your ball is, on the Deere, is a little less beefy than the Massey. I don't know exactly why that is. Drawbar sizes, very comparable. The Deere may look a little heavier built in that respect. So again, we're weighing out, one's a little better than the other in one respect, and then vice versa kind of deal. Axles. Now this Deere to me has been beefed up a little bit more. I know this is dark, but the axles, and you kind of see going into the differential, and I guess the brake housings and whatnot's in there. look to me to be a little bit beefier than previous models on the Deere, and they look to be a little bit beefier than the Massey here, comparing to this 5610. This one does have the fender extensions. Both have raise and lower 3-point hitch buttons, PTO on and off button. This one has one that's on the other side over here. Right here. The Massey does. This one did come with the beacon lights. Deere does have a beacon light option. Again, that's just optional stuff. Both have mirrors. Both have corner post exhaust. Fuel tank level's a little bit taller on the Deere. Of course, the Deere is running DEF. The Massey does not. Big difference is the hood height. On the Deere, you don't have the sloped hood that you have on the Massey, so loader visibility is going to be a little bit better on the Massey. And again, we're comparing a 4-cylinder model to a 3-cylinder. A very equal horsepower, only about 5 horsepower difference at the engine. Front axle sizes. Now, when I did the side-by-side of the Massey and the 6330 I had, they were very similar. I believe they've went a little bit beefier on the Deere now, partly because this model goes, the Deere model goes to a higher horsepower range now in this size tractor than previously. So there's part of the reason some of the things on the Deere are a little bit beefier. But you can kind of look at the Massey front end, front axle here. Of course, my Deere is going to be very muddy, but you can see it looks just slightly beefier. The center differential part, I guess you could say, pumpkin, whatever, is definitely bigger. But again, a little bit bigger on the Deere in that respect. You also see a full frame on the Deere. Which is, you know, a thing that Deere has had for years and years. That's something you don't see on the Massey. You do see this piece of frame here that only runs back to about the back of the engine there. It's, you know, and to mount the loader brackets on. On the Deere, this is all standard frame that runs all the way back to the back. And you know, the engine is mounted into the frame and is not a structural part of the tractor, whereas the engine is a structural part of this tractor. But this engine bolts directly up to the transmission, where the Deere does not. There's actually a drive shaft between the engine and the transmission. I'm trying to think. The lighting on the Deere, I mean not the Deere, the Massey. Lighting on the Massey, to me, is a little bit better than the Deere. They're very close. I think with the addition of a couple of more lights on the Deere would be very comparable, but I will have to give the lighting capability to the Massey. I'm also going to have to give the roominess of the cab to the Massey. Even though this is the standard cab on the Deere, it's not the R model cab. The R model cab would be very similar to the Massey cab in size. But the Massey cab, as we're comparing here between these two today, is going to be a little bit bigger. You can tell the mirrors are just a little bit bigger on the Massey compared to the Deere. It's not a big deal. I do like the toolbox on the Deere here, where I can get into it right here, versus the toolbox on the Massey is right here, and there's a key on it. You have to have a key, undo it, slide this box out to get into it. But it is a full toolbox here. It's just a little bit more trouble to get to. Both have the battery is mounted. The battery is mounted up under this step here, so it's somewhat easy to get to, but it might be a pain to get out. Same thing goes for the Deere. The battery is no longer mounted up in the front of the tractor. They used to be mounted right up here. The battery now, as I've showed y'all in a previous video, is back in here. So again, you can get to it, but it's a little bit harder to get to. Of course, the Deere is running emissions equipment, so you've got diesel exhaust fluid injector, you got a DPF under the hood. This is part of the diesel exhaust fluid canister where it's injected here, I think, but the DPF is under the hood. Both tractors have the quick disconnect for the loader and for the hydraulics here. Yeah, I just wanted to do the quick side-by-side. I could go on and on probably, but I don't have a lot of time. But I think for the most part, y'all just wanted to see the two side-by-side. It has quit raining here just a little bit, so I'll back out here to where you can see them. But anyway, that's them. You can kind of see their overall difference. Like I said, the biggest thing sticks out is the hood difference. The hood is much higher on the Deere, right out to the front, where you got the sloped hood on the Massey. So like I said, cab on the Massey's slightly bigger. I believe if the Deere had been the R model, the R cab would probably be a little bit bigger than the Massey cab on the Deere. But like I said, I didn't go with that model, so that's what it is. But just in a brief summary, in my opinion, horsepower and power wise, I feel they're very similar. Size and weight, they're very similar. I think this Deere has got the Massey beat in a few little areas as far as beefiness maybe, but still the two are very comparable tractors. As I said, both of these two tractors are set up a little differently, as you can see, obviously with tires and loaders and whatnot, but they're very similar. And like I said, the Massey is sold now, and we'll be moving on to new home, so I wanted to do this side by side while I had them here in the shed real quick, because some of you had asked for that and I had not got around to it. So this is it. This is what it'll be, unless I get some footage of the Massey leaving out of here. This will quite possibly be the last footage I do of the Massey 5610. There might be some of it leaving, like I said, but this may be it. So say your farewells. That's that, and moving forward with the Deere. Thanks for watching, folks. Comments, questions below, and see you later.